So welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how we are going to butcher some of our chickens. Now with that said, yes, this is going to be a controversial video for some of our viewers, but at the end of the day, I felt compelled to show this because we harvest our own animals, we grow our own crops and vegetables here. We are very connected to the food that shows up on our table. And I truly feel that is extremely important in life. Well, things must pass away for things to live. And this is just part of the process of living on a small farm or homestead. So I actually had to step over here to the woods because it gets so noisy with that many roosters in a confined space that, well, you can't hear me. So you can jump ahead if you want to see the butchering. We're going to get there in just a second. But for all the people that watch us daily and may not understand why we're about to butcher some of these roosters, let me explain. Well, long story short, we wound up with a little over 50% roosters. And when you keep roosters in that small of a confined space, and by the way, we're about to build a much larger chicken coop on the channel that's coming very soon, the problem is you have very high competition. So the few hens that you have in there, well, we have 4 roosters over there right now. We only want to keep 1 no matter how many hens that we have. Well, all 4 of those roosters think that all the hens belong to them, that they have breeding rights and everything. And what that causes is a ton of tension. We've been seeing a lot of aggression over the last couple of weeks, and we knew that this day was coming and it was time to harvest. So not only do we have roosters being really aggressive toward each other, we're having a ton of aggression toward the hens themselves. They're basically getting attacked daily, multiple times, because there's just too many roosters that think that hen belongs to them. I also have one rooster that's becoming extremely aggressive toward me. Anytime I open the coop up, try to feed, water them, clean it out, I get attacked left and right. So that's going to be one of the first roosters to go. Ultimately, what we're looking for here is more hens. We're going to hatch some more out in the future. We're going to harvest more roosters as they come out as part of the hatching process. This is just the way it goes. Most people typically don't keep a bunch of roosters around unless they're keeping them as pets. Well, we have dogs for pets here. Our animals such as that are strictly for meat and for eggs. Okay, so to keep things a little less graphic and more YouTube friendly, I did not show the killing portion. Very simple process. So if you're going to harvest a lot of meat chickens, typically most people get what's called a killing cone. It's an upside down metal cone. You stick the chicken in, you pop the head out the other side, and you take a sharp knife, cut the head straight off. It's a nice, clean, ethical kill, which is what you want in a situation like this, but it's such a quick kill that the organs are still pumping. Most importantly, the heart, and it pumps blood out of them, making for a cleaner butchering process, cleaner meat. Now, if you don't have a killing cone, like I don't plan to harvest that many meat chickens, you can take, like say, the front of your tractor forks or any pole, tie a string down with a little loop on the end, catch the chickens, put their feet in that little cinch knot, cinch them upside down. That's the way that you do want to kill them, upside down, so that blood pumps and flows out. Wear old clothes too, because blood is going to come out and splatter everywhere. There's a lot of reflex left in a chicken after you kill one. All right, so we have one rooster left in there trying to figure out how to crow. He's crowing like crazy right now, so sorry for the noise. It's just a part of raising chickens. I've got a pot of hot water right here, right at 150 degrees. I don't want to go any hotter than that, so I'm going to back this off. So a quick dunk in hot water will release the feathers on the chicken, make it a lot easier for plucking. Now you don't want the water too hot and boiling because we're not trying to cook the chicken here. We want to dunk them in just long enough, feathers start feeling like they're releasing, then we'll take them out, let them cool off. So here is our first chicken. Let's dunk them on down in there. We can probably go ahead and do 2 at a time right here. I'll just use my knife or something to hold them down. All right, so feathers are already quickly pulling off. We can always put them back in. I'm gonna pull these guys out. All right, feathers are pulling right off. I'm gonna run them under some cool water to stop this process. So if I were killing more chickens, I would probably have me an ice bath set up. So straight out of the hot water, dunk in cool water to stop the cooking process, then straight over to the sink or to a bucket and start plucking. All right, let's put this last bird in. This was the one that was extremely aggressive towards the females. I'm sure they're going to be happy that he's gone. Feathers aren't quite pulling off just yet. I mean, this literally takes like 60 seconds. Okay, feathers are falling off with ease right now. Let's cool this bird off. I should have also mentioned I waited a bit long to harvest these birds. It's our first chickens. I should have done it while they were much smaller, because another important point is the longer you keep these roosters, the more it costs you, the more you have to feed them, and the older they get, the tougher the meat gets as well. So it's a relatively straightforward process from here, just a little time consuming. We're going to pull on these feathers and pluck them right off. And look at how easy these pull off after that hot bath. Scalding them in water really quick, I'm telling you, that's a key. So look at that, I've already got the breast just about completely cleaned off. So I'm gonna go around, pluck all these birds, meet you back here in just a second. Okay, so I'm finishing up the last bird here. Let me show you how I do this process. So the feet are disgusting. They're full of poop and everything else. By the way, I'm keeping this workbench washed down many times throughout this process. But as far as getting the feet off, let's just go ahead and get them off before we finish plucking the rest of this bird. Just grab a hold of it, bend back. Now you can see the joint right there, the ball joint. And then you want to come in on the underneath side of that ball joint, kind of low, work all the way around, because there's nothing but tendons there if you come underneath the bottom. And the leg comes right off, along with all the nasty stuff that's on there. Let's do that one more time. Just come in beneath that ball joint, cut through those tendons, leg comes right off. Now all I'm doing is with a little bit of running water right here to keep my fingers clean, plucking off the last of the small feathers. All right, so let me show you how to clean one of these. It's a real quick and easy process. The one thing that we want to remember is not to puncture any guts, any intestinal tract, because we don't want to contaminate the meat. And that goes for any game or animal that you clean. So I see people take what I think is way too long. I've watched a lot of videos on people doing this, and holy smoke, some people are really making the process way overly complicated. So I'm gonna start at the rear. So right here is, well, the rectum. So we want to cut around this area right here is what I like to do, so we can pull that back through. And again, we don't want to cut the intestinal tract that's attached to the rectum. This is how I do my deer and other animals as well. So you come down through that tailbone, kind of cut right down through it. All right, then I'm gonna just kind of hold it, come around toward the rectum. Just cut me a big circle around, basically. It'll be really nice and easy and cut down right until I see the intestinal tract. So there it is. I'm just gonna work my fingers all the way around this, loosening up any more connective tissue. This is the only process you need to be really slow and careful on. Okay. So there's the intestine. You can see I have a hole all the way around. That was a really quick and easy process. Let's move back to the front where the neck is. Now right in here is the diaphragm and the craw, and there's potentially some food and other contaminants right in here to where they actually hold that and grind it down and digest their food. So I want to quickly cut through the skin and be very easy when I come to the bottom side right here to not cut and expose that food. So I'm gonna start on the back side of the neck. I don't care about this flap of skin anyways. Cut right into it. Kind of work my way around again. Just kind of pinching the skin and lifting it up, working all the way around. All right, and there is that sack I was telling you about. It's actually got a decent amount of food in it. It's best to not feed your chickens before you harvest them, say a day, but I let mine go ahead and eat. So now I'm gonna just easily trim all the way back around just like I did the rectum. As far as the neck goes, let's go ahead and remove that right now. You can cut right down through and find a joint on the neck. All right, there goes the neck. You can use that for broth or whatever else you'd like. You can pull this back through. I'm gonna go ahead and cut everything off. Now we're gonna go back to this other end. Now we're gonna go back to the other end, pinch the skin, open up this cavity so we can get our fingers in here. All right, so now I have sliced the cavity up and open. Very careful not to hit any of the organs. Get our fingers all the way in the back toward where we just trimmed the esophagus and everything else off, and I'm gonna just try to break everything loose and pull it out the rear. All right, so there is the intestinal tract and everything else. Get any loose bits out of here. Now you're probably gonna be asking me, what about the gizzards? I do not like chicken gizzards, so we'll not be keeping those. Give it a good rinsing, make sure there's nothing left in there, no organs of any kind. All right, and there you are, chicken cleaned out from front to rear, a very straightforward process. We're gonna vacuum seal them whole, just like this. You could quarter it on up into thighs, just like you see from the grocery store. Take your chicken wings off. That's a very easy process, but I'm gonna leave mine whole for cooking down in things like chicken and rice, or spatchcocking one and smoking it on the smoker. So whole works best for us to do that. Okay, so here we are with the last part of this process. Just got me some vacuum seal bags made up. I've got my brand new vacuum chamber sealer here. Y'all, I love this thing. This is not a sponsored video, but I love this thing. This is gonna get so much use for meat like this. I just harvested a deer and put it up, and we vacuum seal all of our garden vegetables too. Literally hundreds of pounds of just vegetables a year. This is gonna get a workout. Several of y'all have went and bought one based on the review that I did, and I have been getting rave and positive feedback from y'all. So like I said, we're just gonna put our chickens up whole, and that's just because of the types of recipes that we cook. All right, so check this out. Just plop the bag right in the vacuum chamber sealer, push this down. It's gonna take about 30 seconds to get all the air out of the chamber. It's not vacuuming out of the bag. That's the one thing I love about this. It doesn't pull blood and all on the machine. It's pulling air out of the entire chamber, well, bag included. And then it's gonna seal the bag, and then all the atmospheric pressure comes back in this chamber after the sealing's done, ultimately sandwiching the bag that's under vacuum. So you can do marinades, all kinds of stuff, and I love that I'm not gonna have chicken blood all in my vacuum sealer. All right, it's sealing it, and it's about to dump the air or put air back in. Holy smokes, I love this thing. Look at how well that bird is vacuum sealed. Ain't no air getting in that. That's awesome. All right, let's get another one in here. And oh my goodness, I couldn't believe the fat on these chickens. Like inch thick fat on the inside on the last two that I processed. I have fed them way too long. All right, and then over to our freezer we go. It is such a good and wonderful feeling sticking vegetables in here raised right off of our property. All this deer meat harvested right off of our property. Tons of food we went and caught on killer sales. It's such a good feeling to have this food, especially in this day and age. All right, well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this process. It's just the way life works. I know there's some people out there that would rather not see this or know about it, but personally, I feel very strongly that anybody that eats meat should at least once in their lifetime have to actually kill and butcher an animal. It just gives you such a deep appreciation and respect for how life works, to actually physically take a life and consume it so you can have life. It's a special feeling that you just don't get when you go buy commercialized meats from the grocery store. Not that I'm knocking that, we go buy them there ourselves, but you really don't know where your food comes from, how the whole process works until you actually really get your hands dirty. Speaking of dirty, I have a ton of cleanup now. I'm a germaphobe, so I'm about to bleach down and wash down absolutely everything. I better get to it. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Many more like this coming.